Unveiling the cursed secrets of Creed's Manor. A terrifying journey into the haunted abyss. Dark clouds twisted across the sky, shrouding the idyllic suburb of Maplewood in a sinister gloom, as if an unseen force hovered just out of sight. Hannah, a weary single mother, parked her tired car at the end of their quiet street. It had been another grueling night at the diner, the kind that drained the soul. She just wanted to crawl into bed beside Lucy and Ethan, her small but vibrant world. Yet right at the end of the road, Creed's Manor loomed, its cracked windows glinting with an unholy flicker. A shiver ran down her spine. The stories whispered by the neighbors ricocheted in her mind, dark rituals, violent shadows. But she had always dismissed them as mere folklore, designed to scare children, not a hard-working mom. But something about the light tonight felt different. Compelled by an inexplicable force, she pulled over. What harm could it do? The knot in her gut tightened. Each step toward the manor felt like walking deeper into a trap. The front door creaked open, inviting yet foreboding, and the cool, damp air wrapped around her like a chilling embrace. Inside, the decay was palpable. Dust hung in the air like the remnants of whispers long forgotten. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a hidden chamber, its walls etched with bizarre symbols that pulsed with dark energy. A sense of dread enveloped her as she realized this wasn't just a place of neglect, it was a hub of terrifying power. There, amidst unsettling altars, she stumbled upon a connection that shook her world. Mr. Collins, the charming principal of Ethan and Lucy's school, had ties to whatever malevolent force inhabited these walls. The warmth of his smile now felt like a mask, hiding the predator lurking just under the surface, ready to strike. Panic gripped her heart, tightening like a vice. How could the very person shaping her children's lives be a part of this nightmare? Her mind raced, but she knew she had to protect them. She rushed home, but every flicker in the dark corners of her house now felt like an accusing glare, every creak of the floorboards a sinister whisper. The police laughed off her concerns, insisting, "Just get some sleep, Hannah." Their indifference stung, leaving her feeling utterly alone in her fight. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Each night this escalating dread transformed from suffocating anxiety into a monstrous horror. Shadows danced menacingly in her peripheral vision, blood-curdling screams echoed in the stillness of the night, and Lucy began to whisper about faces hiding beneath her bed, creatures lurking in the closet. Time twisted into a relentless cycle of fear, pulling them deeper into the abyss. One harrowing night, as merciless shadows coiled around her, Hannah made a final decision. They had to escape. Heart racing, breath hitching, she grabbed Lucy and Ethan, sensing the dark weight of something ancient stirring behind them. Racing through the familiar streets she thought were safe, every blink of a street lamp felt like a countdown, the darkness stretching around them, hungry and relentless. Then she heard his voice. "Hannah, where are you taking my students?" Mr. Collins' shadow flared to life, malice dripping from his grin like poison. Ice coursed through her veins. The nightmare wasn't over. It was just beginning. How could she protect her children now that the very fabric of their suburban haven was torn away? Hannah's pulse thundered in her ears, drowning out the sound of her own ragged breath. She could feel the weight of Mr. Collins' gaze pinning her down as if an invisible hand clasped around her throat tight, unrelenting. His smile stretched wider, revealing something unnatural lurking behind his eyes. "Let them go, you monster!" she screamed, desperation driving her words. But he merely chuckled, the sound chilling, echoing through the empty street like a death knell. "You misunderstand, dear Hannah. They are already a part of this. I've watched over them, nurtured them." Each word oozed with predatory malice. The warmth of Mr. Collins' previously charming demeanor faded, revealing the truth. He wasn't their protector. He was a part of something greater, a darkness reaching from Creed's Manor into every corner of their lives. Hannah felt a cold sweat bead on her forehead. She tugged Lucy and Ethan closer, instinctively shielding them. The air felt thick, almost electric, as the shadows deepened around them. For a fleeting moment, she was paralyzed, transfixed by horror as the world warped around, colliding realities, the supernatural reality of the manor, and the mundane life she thought she knew. "Run!" she finally managed to shout, tearing into the night without thinking. Feet pounding against the pavement, she felt the chill of the darkness chasing them, gnashing with malevolent hunger. Through the labyrinth of her neighborhood, panic turned every familiar house into a looming horror. The shapes of those she had once exchanged pleasantries with twisted into grotesque figures in her mind, shadows of potential allies turning to monstrous silhouettes behind the curtain of night. "Ow!" Ethan stumbled, his small feet catching on an uneven crack in the sidewalk. "Keep going," Hannah urged, crouching to scoop him up as Lucy clung to her side. The weight of their fear burdened her like a leaden shroud, and she could feel the dark presence of Collins threading along behind them. He followed, relentless as the shadows. He commanded an ominous echo, just behind them. Just when they reached the edge of the community park, the realization struck her it was too quiet. In the midst of the night's howl, there was an unnatural silence. She turned to look back but couldn't see him, couldn't hear his footsteps anymore. "Mom," Lucy whispered, her voice trembling. "Where is he?" Hannah's heart sank. It was more than the absence of sound, it felt like they were cut off from the world. She glanced around. Everything was wrong. The streetlights flickered, casting elongated shadows, warping the playground equipment into monstrous shapes. Each instinct screamed for them to keep moving, but then a crackle, faint but electric. The air hummed, and she realized it wasn't just the darkness. It was the manor, resonating with an otherworldly energy, alive with the echoes of rituals long past. "Hannah!" It was his voice again, drifting, taunting, echoing in the darkness. "You can never escape what belongs," the words twisted in her mind, a twisted lullaby that drowned out all rational thought. Panic surged, and instinctively she clutched her children to her, her heart thundering with an understanding that was as chilling as the night. They were trapped. Suddenly, a piercing scream burst forth from the shadows, and Hannah's breath caught in her throat. She turned her back to the direction and clutched her children tighter, the primal urge to protect surging through her veins. "Mom! What do we do?" Ethan cried, fear plastered across his innocent face. Then, the ground beneath her began to rumble, a deep growl that seemed to vibrate through the world, shaking the very foundation of what she believed to be reality. The shadows shifted, morphing into forms she couldn't comprehend, and Hannah felt her resolve falter. "Stay close," she shouted above the rising cacophony of terror, and with that the struggle wove tighter, leading her and her children into an unknown world of horrors, tossing them deeper into a web of lies, rituals, and dark fates that hadn't just been waiting for them. They were calling to them. As Hannah stumbled back, clutching her children, she gazed into the darkness, feeling the weight of history pulling her toward an inexorable fate. Unseen, a figure loomed, whispering secrets of a curse that could devour their very souls. "It's time for you to join us." The whisper wrapped around her as a veil, hinting at the twisted truth still left to uncover. What had she unleashed? What awaited them in the heart of darkness? Panic twisted in Hannah's gut as she squeezed her children closer to her, their bodies trembling against hers as the shadows danced with a life of their own. The air around them felt thick, pregnant with a quiet hunger that made her skin crawl. "Mom!" Lucy whimpered, the touch of her small hands like icy talons clasped on Hannah's wrist. "I don't want to go back there." "It's all right, sweetheart. Just hold on to me," Hannah murmured, forcing calm into her voice even as her heart raced, each beat a hammer against her chest. The crackling coming from behind them intensified, as if the darkness had teeth, ready to bite. "Mom!" Ethan's voice shook, pulling her attention. He looked up, eyes wide, reflecting the flickering streetlights overhead. What if he finds us?" Hannah's gut twisted at the thought. Collins was lurking somewhere, invisible but present, like a shadow stitched into the fabric of the night. She knew he wouldn't give up. He had already claimed a part of their lives, and now he wanted more. "We need to find a place to hide," she whispered fervently, glancing around as twisted shapes loomed ominously at the edge of the park. Suddenly, the playground equipment seemed like a series of watchful sentinels, waiting for their moment to strike. As they dashed toward the thick bushes lining the park, a scream split the silence again, a scream that echoed through the night and sent a chill racing down her spine. It was a sound of raw terror, a plea that made her stomach turn. Hannah could hear it, what felt like a lost soul calling a warning to her from depths unseen. "Please!" the voice cried, distant yet piercing. "M.O.M." Lucy's grip suddenly tightened, nearly stopping Hannah in her tracks. "We can't leave them." "No! We have to go," Hannah urged, choking on her own fear. But the innocence and desperation in Lucy's eyes cut her deeper than any blade ever could. Torn between her instinct to protect her children and the haunting call of the unfortunate, Hannah hesitated just a moment too long. The air trembled with a shuddering thrum that shook the ground beneath her feet, an ominous vibration palpable in her bones. It was an invitation. "Go, Hannah!" Ethan tugged her forward, and with a surge of instinctive survival, she broke free of that tormenting sound and trekked toward the safety of the bushes. The world narrowed to those enclosing limbs, and she could hear Lucy whimpering softly as they dove inside. The thick branches rustled, a cacophony of whispers swirling around them in the confined space, cold and foreboding. Hannah pressed her back against the bark, closing her eyes, and fought to regulate her breath. She couldn't let the darkness seep inside. It had already started. But then, a silence enveloped them. A silence so complete it almost felt like a physical presence. Hannah's throat tightened as she opened her eyes cautiously. The world outside had grown darker. Shadows danced with feverish intensity, swirling and shifting toward the bushes with a sinister grace. She could feel the breath of the night pressing closer, wrapping around them like a noose. Every fiber of her being screamed to bolt, to flee again, but Christina's grip on her hand anchored her. Then came a rustling not far from their hiding spot. Hannah's heart dropped. The sound was deliberate, slow, creeping, as if whatever it was wanted them to hear it. The shadows stretched and coiled, transforming against the canvas of night. And then, just as Hannah was about to push her children further into the bushes, a figure emerged, darting through the darkness as it approached. Hannah's breath caught in her throat as she froze, her eyes widening in horror. It was too familiar, that chilling smile, too close. "Collins. Did you really think you could escape?" he taunted, voice smooth and sinister cutting through the quiet, sending waves of dread washing over her. "This is only the beginning." The darkness pulsed in rhythm with her quickening heart, and in that instant, Hannah realized, there was nowhere left to run. The truth, twisted and dark, was creeping closer, luring them toward an unimaginable fate. But even as fear coursed through her, a thought ignited in her mind: there had to be another way. Hadn't the whispers promised secrets? Mom, Ethan's voice was barely a whisper, confusing terror flickering in his eyes. And as Collins took another step forward, something deep inside Hannah snapped. A resolve emerged from the shadows of despair. "We want to be yours," she shouted, pulling her children closer, defiant against the dark. But as another loud rumble surged through the air, Hannah felt the ground open beneath her. A portal to the unknown began to unfurl. And she realized escape wasn't her only option. The darkness shivered, beckoning her to make a choice. What would she uncover if she took the plunge into the abyss? And which would be the better sacrifice, her children or herself? As Collins reached out, laughter echoing like a bell tolling a doom, the world spun into chaos, and Hannah understood with chilling clarity, this was just the beginning of their descent into those depths. And the real horror lay ahead. The darkness swallowed them whole, spiraling into a void that ensnared Hannah and her children in an unyielding grip. Each heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out the sinister laugh of Collins as he slipped into the shadows like smoke. They were no longer in the park. Nothing felt real anymore. The air turned heavy, thick with a suffocating dread that twisted around her throat. "Mom, I don't like it here," Lucy whimpered, eyes wide, reflecting the faint glimmer of something far off in ethereal light. Hannah's mind raced. She had to keep them safe. But what dangers lurked just beyond that glimmer? Collins was close. She could feel him, lurking in the recesses of this abysmal place. Stay close, she hissed, wrapping a protective arm around Ethan. Together they moved deeper into the strange light, its warmth contrasting sharply with the chill that gnawed at their bones. It flickered and pulsed like an anxious heartbeat, drawing them forward. As they stepped closer, the world shifted again. The air shimmered, and the grove around them twisted into a grand hall, dark wood beams overhead melding seamlessly with creeping vines. Old, decaying portraits lined the walls, eyes seeming to watch their every move. A chill ran down Hannah's spine. This wasn't just any place, it was a home steeped in tragedy, every corner echoing the pain of the lost. "Mom, I can't see!" Lucy cried, panic tightening her grip on Hannah's hand. "Just hold on," Hannah urged, forcing herself to remain steady. Each footfall felt like an intrusion, muffled whispers rising as they entered the heart of this darkness. "We've got to find a way out." As they crossed the threshold into the deserted chamber, the whispers grew louder, swirling through the space as if they held tales of sorrow, lament, and warning. Hannah felt the walls close in, the air thickening with an electric tension. And then she heard it, clearer now, a woman's voice filled with desperation, repeating a name over and over. "Evelyn, Evelyn, who's Evelyn?" Ethan asked, his voice quivering with fear. Hannah swallowed hard. "I don't know." Suddenly, a cacophony of shrieks erupted from the corners of the hall, the portraits trembling as if alive, grotesque faces contorting in silent agony. Shadows sprang forth, writhing and lunging like creatures unleashed from a nightmare. Hannah's heart raced. They were not alone. The lost souls seemed to swirl around them, a desperate plea woven into the air. She could feel their sorrow, their torment, each breath thick with despair. "Run!" Hannah shouted, yanking her children toward the door at the far end of the hall. But the shadows lunged again, reaching out with claw-like hands that barely grazed her skin yet sent freezing tendrils of fear spiraling through her body. "Mom!" Lucy cried, nearly slipping from her grip. "Get to the door!" Hannah shouted, fierce fury igniting within her. She pushed forward, forcing her way through the dark, the whispers rising to a shriek of protest. As they neared the door, the shadows recoiled, momentarily stilling. Hannah dared to glance back. Collins stood at the threshold, a predator blocking their escape, his smile even wider now. "Where do you think you're going?" he taunted, darkness radiating from him like a cloak. The shadows shrank back around him, as if awaiting his command. "You're just another story for the walls to tell." The door loomed ahead, just beyond his grasp. Hannah's chest tightened, adrenaline surged through her veins. They had to move. Just as Lucy let out a terrified whimper, Hannah made a split-second decision. "Ethan, Lucy, on 3, we run!" "Mom, trust me." She counted down, her resolve hardening. 1, 2, at 3, they bolted. Hannah propelled herself forward, shoving through the door, her children's hands slipping through her fingers in a frantic tumble. The moment they broke past Colin's grasp, a piercing wail erupted from the house, sending an extraordinary shockwave that rattled the very foundation of the world. But as they spilled into the night, gasping for breath, a thought gripped Hannah with icy claws. What if this was only the beginning of their fight? And behind them, Colin's laughter echoed, merging with the cries of the damned, a chilling reminder that the darkness was far from finished. The cool night air rushed against Hannah's skin as they stumbled into the open, but it felt deceptive, like a thin veil over an even darker truth. She felt the shocks of reality square in her gut, tightening her chest even further with every gasp. This wasn't over. The slightest glance back confirmed it. Collins was still there, a dark shape against the pale moonlight, smirking as if feasting on their fear. "Keep moving! Don't stop!" Hannah urged, pulling her children with her through the soft dirt path leading away from the manor. They raced past skeletal trees, their branches clawing at the sky, an army of watchers witnessing their terrified flight. "Mom, where are we going?" Ethan panted, his breath shallow and quick. His face was pale, eyes wide with dread. "Anywhere but here," Hannah spat, glancing back to see if Collins followed. She couldn't shake the creeping feeling he was merely toying with them, waiting for the right moment to strike. More shadows filled the corners of her vision, swirling in the edges of the dim light cast by a sliver of moon. She gripped the kid's hands tighter, desperation pulsing through her veins. This was not just a fight to escape but a battle against something far older, more sinister. The woods began to thicken around them, branches locking together overhead like a cage. Whispers rose, echoing the same name from the hall, Evelyn. Evelyn, stop it! Hannah shouted, the voices going silent all at once. But their potent fear permeated the air, pressing down on her, heavy and suffocating. Suddenly, Lucy whimpered again, her footing faltering on the uneven ground. Mom, I can't run anymore. Hannah knelt and cupped Lucy's cheeks, forcing her to look into her eyes. We can't stop, Lucy. We have to keep going. Please. As if in response, a howl sliced through the stillness, something primal and raw. A cold wind swept through the trees, and Hannah felt chills creep down her spine. The woods were alive, and they were not alone. No one gets left behind, Ethan said, determination filling his voice. He cast a glance back, where they had just come from. Is he still there? Don't look! Hannah ordered, fear gripping her heart once more. Colin's voice seemed to echo inside her mind, tempting and twisted with each word. You can't escape your part of the story now. They pressed forward, pushing deeper into the woods. Vines snagged at their clothes, roots groped at their feet, trying to pull them back into the abyss. The terrain grew sharper, darting uphill as the trees thinned out into a clearing. Look! Ethan shouted, pointing. There's a cabin! Hannah traced her gaze toward the dilapidated structure, a flicker of hope amidst despair. Let us check it out. We might find something, anything. But as they approached, the door creaked open on its own, an inviting yet eerie gesture that sent chills crawling back up her arms. Shadows danced through windows, flickering with an otherworldly light. Ethan and Lucy hesitated, fear rattling in their wide eyes. What if it's a trap, Mom? Lucy whispered. It can't be worse than him, Hannah insisted, though every instinct screamed at her to turn back. But a harsh laugh cut through the air, Colin's dark promise slithering through her thoughts. Go inside. Before he finds us. The moment they stepped over the threshold, the door slammed shut behind them with a deafening thud. Darkness enveloped them, the shadows taking shape, creeping in all directions. Something moved in the shadows, whispering secrets that clawed at their sanity. A flickering light revealed a figure standing at the far side, a woman clad in sorrow. Evelyn. Hannah's heart dropped. What had they stepped into? Do you dare uncover the truth? Evelyn's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, echoing the soul's torment entwined within the manor's walls. The atmosphere pulsed with an imminent dread. Hannah realized this had just become more deadly than a fight against Collins. Secrets lay in wait, and she would have to choose. Would she risk everything to discover what lay buried in the shadows, or would they fall victim like so many before? The answers lurked close, and she could almost taste the danger in the air. Mom. Lucy's voice broke through the thick quiet. What do we do now? Before she could answer, the walls shuddered, whispering sweet lies and terrible truths. Would they dare push forward, or would they turn back to the nightmare chasing them? Fear gripped Hannah's heart tighter than ever as the shadows began to close in again. The path forward seemed treacherous and unknown, but what awaited them in retreat? The choice was theirs to make. And every heartbeat felt like a countdown. The air inside the cabin was thick, suffocating, as if the shadows had seeped into the very walls, wrapping around them like a shroud. Hannah's heart raced, pulsing in time with the whispers that circled them like vultures. What truth? She swallowed hard, her voice barely breaking through the oppressive silence. Evelyn's gaze never left hers, a mixture of sadness and something darker lurking behind her eyes. To know is to be bound to this place, she said, her voice a delicate thread weaving through the air. But to turn away may mean your lives. Hannah felt a tremor run through her. Lucy clutched her arm, drawing comfort from her warmth, but even the brief contact felt like electric static. Mom, I don't like this, Lucy whimpered, her voice trembling. Neither do I, sweetheart, Hannah replied, forcing a calm she didn't feel. She stepped closer to Evelyn, desperation pushing her forward. Tell me. Tell us what we need to do. Evelyn smiled faintly, the corners of her lips quivering like autumn leaves in a chilling breeze. You must understand the manor hungers. It seeks not just blood but the shadows of its past. Those who refuse a story become part of one forever. Suddenly, the ceiling creaked ominously, a low rumble echoing in time with the whispers growing louder, filling the room with a cacophony of tortured voices. Evelyn! Evelyn! They called, every utterance a chilling reminder of the fate that had befallen this woman and the others like her. Stop! Hannah shouted, clutching her children to her, like shields against the darkness. How do we escape? Evelyn's form flickered, the shadows around her shifting as if alive. The manor will reveal itself. It will show you what you seek and what it desires. Only then can you break free, she answered, her voice steady yet haunting. Hannah's breath hitched. And what does it desire? Fear, despair, the anguish of lost souls, Evelyn said, her eyes glimmering with the weight of sorrow. You cannot hide from it. You must let it in just for a moment to find a way out. Or you'll be trapped, like I am, forever. Hannah could almost feel the shifting air around them pushing against her, a dreadful pressure to comply. I want tea, she began, but before she could finish, the shadows surged forward, clawing at the edges of her mind, scratching at her sanity. Mom! Ethan cried, his voice cracking. Something's wrong. I can't see. With her heart pounding in her throat, Hannah turned to the window. The view outside twisted, the trees contorting, moving closer, the shadows pooling like ink on the ground. Run! She shouted, pulling her children toward the back of the cabin. But the dark shape was already there, blocking their escape. Colin stood at the entrance, his wicked smile illuminated by a sickly glow. You really thought you could run? He taunted, his voice oozing contempt. You're part of this story now, my dear Hannah. The manor has chosen you. The ground shuddered beneath their feet, and the walls quaked as the cabin seemed to breathe, seeking to swallow them whole. Mom, make it stop! Lucy screamed, as the shadows closed in, whispering secrets meant to shatter their minds. Hannah felt the edges of her resolve fraying, tearing like old fabric under immense pressure. We just need to find a way. Hold on. Evelyn's apparition flickered again, her last plea tearing through the chaos. To break the curse you must reveal the truth. The shadows tightened their grip, pulling her children away. No! Hannah lunged forward, adrenaline surging. But would revealing the truth risk more than she could bear? As one final scream echoed around them, Hannah realized the truth would demand a dreadful price. The air thickened, the whispering voices crashing into a crescendo of terror, leaving her with a spiraling question. What truth would she uncover, and at what cost? She was running out of time. Hannah's heart thundered as her mind raced for an escape. The shadows hissed, chanted, and clawed at her resolve, their whispers knifed through the silence, promising doom with every syllable. Lucy's fingers dug into her skin, her little frame trembling in terror. Get behind me! Hannah shouted, frantic, but deep inside dread coursed through her veins. Collins didn't budge. Dark amusement danced across his sly grin as he savored their panic. Don't you see? He sneered, an unsettling glimmer in his eyes. This place feeds on fear. Let it wash over you. Embrace it. Then perhaps it will let you go. A chill gripped Hannah's throat. She couldn't let him get to her. Leave us alone, she barked, but her voice felt like a whisper against the walls closing in. Then, the cabin groaned louder, its wooden bones creaking in agreement with Collins' taunts. It felt as though the ancient structure was leaning in, waiting, listening for her next move. Hannah could feel it, the thirst and insatiable hunger lurking within the very fibers of the manor. The shadows around them thickened, pulsing like a living entity that wanted to swallow them whole. The walls quivered. The windows fogged, distorting the world outside, turning it into a swirling abyss. Mom! Ethan's voice cracked, fear coating his words like a layer of ice. I see things. Hannah spun around, breath hitching as her son staggered backward. She caught a glimpse of his face, horror painting his features. "What do you see?" she pressed, grasping for hope. "Ghosts!" Ethan screamed. "They're all around us. They want to take us. Don't listen!" she yelled back, edging toward him. But the shadows were now a vast blanket, shifting and swirling, almost beckoning. "Tell me. What do we do?" Lucy whimpered, eyes watery and wide with fear. Hannah's heart shattered at the sight of her children. The desperation seeped into her bones. They had to know. "Evelyn!" she called, and just like that, another flicker of pale light filled the room. Evelyn's visage appeared, ghostly and radiant, yet burdened with eternal sorrow. "Hannah, you must reveal the truth of your past," she declared, her voice rich with urgency. "It is the only way." "Why?" Hannah gasped. "What does it mean?" "It will bind you, but it will also set you free," Evelyn insisted, her eyes filled with a storm of pain. "Look within, search the shattered pieces of your life. Only when you face them will the Manor relent." Before Hannah could respond, shadows surged, tugging at her hair, her clothes. The weight of the past began to pull her deeper into the darkness. An image emerged in flashes, a road long forgotten, screams muffled by time, a house that once housed love and laughter, now a ghostly echo. "Mom!" Ethan's voice shattered her reverie. "They're coming!" Hannah's breath quickened. She locked eyes with her children, brimming with a fierce determination. "Whatever it takes, whatever the cost," she whispered, more to herself than them. "We have to confront it." But as she steadied her resolve, Colin's laughter echoed through the cabin, distinct and malevolent. "You foolish woman! You believe you can escape? You are already part of this tale. The Manor's hunger is insatiable." Heart pounding, Hannah gripped her children's hands, clinging to them as shadows coiled around their feet. Time was slipping away, and darkness was waiting to consume them. "Together. We can do this," Hannah urged. "We have to find the truth before it devours our souls." Yet, as she looked deep into her children's eyes, she knew that facing the truth might cost them everything. The whispers grew louder, nasal, like a swarm of angry bees, scratching at the edges of her sanity. "What truth?" they taunted. "What will you sacrifice?" With a desperate breath, Hannah closed her eyes, calling forth the fragments of her past. But would the truth strengthen them or tear them apart? In that moment, she felt the shadows tighten their grip, the air heavy with malice, leaving her barely clinging to hope, haunted by the question, could they withstand the revelation of the dark story lurking within? Suddenly, a dark rush of energy surged through the cabin, forcing Hannah to stagger back. The walls seemed to pulse, quivering in rhythm with the frantic beats of her heart. Her children's faces glowed in the dim light, panic-driven shadows dancing in their wide eyes. "Mom!" Ethan cried, his voice trembling. "They're closer! I can hear them!" Hannah stole a glance toward the corner where the shadows writhed like a storm. Guttural voices whispered promises of despair, slinking across the air like serpents. It felt as if the very essence of the Manor was reaching out, hungry for something it had lost long ago. In that moment, Hannah realized confronting her past wasn't just a test, it was the key to survival. "We need to remember!" she shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. "We need to find the truth!" Colin stepped forward, his demeanor shifting from playful to predatory. "Doesn't that sound delicious?" he hissed, a twisted smile spreading across his face. "You'll uncover so much more than you want, and pay dearly for it." "Shut up!" she spat, as the shadows growled dangerously, vibrating with tension. The world around her spun, the air thickened like molasses. As if summoned by her defiance, an echo rippled through the room, the lingering laughter of children, once joyful but now soaked in sorrow. Her mind flickered, unwanted memories flooding in like a raging tide. A woman. It was her mother. They were at the old house, but not for a happy occasion. The screams of her laughing siblings transformed into cries for help. "No!" Hannah choked out, shaking her head violently as the whispers intensified around her. The memories tightened and twisted, crushing her heart beneath their weight. "Face it, Hannah!" Evelyn's ghostly voice echoed, breaking through the chaos. "Only by reckoning with what you've buried will you free yourself and your children." Hannah Lucy's tiny voice broke the spell of reality, her little hands gripping tightly to her mother's. "I'm scared, hold on. We're going to break free," Hannah assured, desperation slicing cleanly through her panic. "Remember what you told me, Lucy. Focus on the love. Think of the best moments." As she urged her daughter, the shadows jerked and twisted as if resisting their resolve. Ethan stepped closer to Hannah, determination shining in his eyes. "I'm not afraid. We can fight them together." "Right," Hannah urged, clutching her children's hands like a lifeline. "We will confront our past. We won't let them take us." Yet something deep within her quivered with doubt. The voices felt stronger now, a sinister crescendo tightening around her, scratching at her resolve like barbed wire. "What are you willing to sacrifice?" they cooed cruelly, tainted with glee. "I will do anything," she screamed, more to quell her own fears than the shadows. "I will bare my soul if it means saving my family." At her declaration, Collins erupted in laughter, the sound wild and twisted. "Ah, the price of honesty! But can you handle what you'll uncover? Will love truly be the armor you need?" Just then, a flash of light cascaded through the dark, illuminating the cabin, revealing fleeting, tormented faces locked in eternal despair. Hannah's breath caught. Memories crashed over her like waves, aching regrets. Laughter turned sorrowful, the love lost forever in the void. "Mom, they're all around!" Ethan whimpered, tears streaming down his face as he squinted against the brilliant light. "What are we supposed to do?" As the air hummed with tension, Hannah felt the shadows recoil for just a breath. Was it fear? Or merely a brief pause before they lunged? "Join me!" Collins roared, his voice reverberating with sinister energy. "Let it consume you! The truth is waiting, but it's a price only the brave can pay." Heart racing, Hannah dared to take a step forward, adrenaline pulsing through her veins. She would find a way. They would confront this horrifying legacy together. But as the shadows surged, coiling tighter around them, Hannah could only ponder what gruesome truths awaited in the depths of her memories. Would uncovering the secret of her past grant them the freedom they so desperately sought, or would it drive them further into oblivion? The shadows writhed and twisted, their whispers sharpening a cacophony of regret and malice that clawed at Hannah's sanity. Each breath felt like a weight, pressing down on her. Dread hovered over her, thick as smoke. Holding her children tightly, she fought the pull of the abyss swallowing them whole. "We need to focus," she urged, her voice a frantic hiss, trembling with urgency. The light flickered dangerously, casting long, exaggerated shadows that clawed at the walls, almost eager to leap into the world. "Think of something good. Something happy." Ethan shut his eyes, struggling against tears. "But Mom, what if the memories only bring them back?" The shadows stirred, seeming to recognize their fear. Their guttural laughter echoed, a cruel chorus. "Memories are a prison and you hold the key," they taunted, slimy and seductive. "Unlock it, Hannah!" The very air seemed to vibrate ominously as Collins leaned closer, his breath warm and foul. "You cannot hide forever," he said, his tone low and dripping with sinister glee. "They're here, right beside you. All you need to do is look." Lucy squeezed Hannah's hand, her delicate fingers trembling. "I want to go home," the little girl whispered, her voice muffled by the encroaching terror. Hannah's heart shattered at the sight of her daughter's fear, a relentless knot twisted in her gut. "Please!" Hannah shouted, desperation fleeting through her like a wildfire. "I won't let them take you. I will find the truth. No matter what it is." The laughter grew louder, filling every corner of the cabin until it felt like a tangible force, a physical presence that pressed against her skin. Candles flickered violently, their flames struggling against the overwhelming darkness. A shriek pierced the air, a wailing echo that made Hannah's blood run cold. "Should we really be seeking the truth?" Collins hissed. "What if it's more horrific than you can imagine? The truth has teeth." His twisted grin widened, But it was the eyes' dark, empty voids that haunted her the most. Suddenly, a sound broke through the chaos, a faint, childlike giggle followed by shattering silence. It pulled Hannah's attention like a thread unraveling. Flashes of a different time flickered before her eyes, a day in the summer, sunlight streaming through the trees, her siblings running carefree. Laughter intertwined with shouts of joy. But then, just like that, it was snatched away, replaced with images of fear, shadows darting in the corners, her brothers disappearing into the dark. Hannah gripped her children tighter, her nails digging into their skin like anchors against the encroaching storm of despair. "We can't look away," she said urgently. "Not now. We must remember the happiness before the horror." Collins's laughter turned cynical, an echo of her own growing dread. "Love cannot shield you from what you've buried. They call to you from the depths, can't you hear it?" With every rib of tension, the air thickened, leaving a stench of decay hanging overhead. Hannah felt the pull of the shadows. They beckoned, inviting her to dwell deeper. "Don't listen. We have to push forward," she cried, pulling her children closer as the cabin trembled. Eerily, a barrier formed behind them, the door slamming shut, locking them in. "Welcome home," the shadows whispered, a sinister intimacy that twisted Hannah's stomach. With fierce determination, she gritted her teeth. "Let us go." She would not succumb. Not yet. Not ever. As Hannah took a shuddering breath, a blinding light erupted around them, forcing her to shield her eyes. In that moment, she felt a presence shift. One final deceitful flicker of warmth invaded the chill of the air. "Face it all, Hannah!" Collins spat, rage lacing his words. "Face your darkness, or it will consume your children!" Suddenly, an ear-splitting shriek echoed through the room. Lucy collapsed, gripping her head as a dark figure swept through the cabin, a formless silhouette that twisted toward them like smoke shaped by a storm. Hannah could only watch as time distorted in that terrible moment. "What is that?" Ethan screamed, fear lacing his voice. "Mom, it wants us!" And just like that, a voice called from the depths of the shadows, resonating with familiar agony. "Hannah! Help me!" Hannah's heart tore in two. It was a voice she knew all too well. A voice she'd thought long buried. "Mom?" she whispered, dread spiraling through her chest. But as she stood paralyzed with fear, she knew this was only the beginning. What awaited on the other side of this dark threshold would be more monstrous than she could ever fathom. What had she truly awakened in this cursed manor? Was it her past or something far worse? The shadows writhed like living things, cascading over Hannah and her children, their whispers clawing at her mind, echoes of lost souls trapping her in a snare. But in the tightening grip of despair, something fierce ignited within her. The call of her mother, lost in the depths of the past, pushed her forward. "Remember, Hannah," she thought fiercely, "you don't have to face this alone." "Mom, what do we do?" Lucy clutched her arm tighter, trembling. A decisive surge of clarity crystallized in Hannah's mind. "We fight. First, we face the truth together." She turned to Ethan, who was pale but resolute. "I need you both to hold on tight and trust me. We'll find our way." They faced the shadows together, anchored by love. The darkness rippled, stubborn like a tide. "You can't escape." Collins's voice echoed ominously, sharp and mocking, but Hannah steeled herself. "What you did to us, what you did to this family ends now," she shouted, her voice breaking the suffocating silence. The shadows recoiled for just a moment, as if her words had power. Evelyn's spirit materialized again, luminous against the encroaching dark. "Facing the truth will cost you dearly but can shed light on what binds you," she urged, her eyes pleading for understanding. "What's the truth?" Hannah cried, desperate for answers. Evelyn pointed toward the heart of the cabin. A dark swirling vortex thrummed, promising revelations buried in pain. "It's time to unearth it," she urged, but each word felt heavy, steeped in malevolence. With a tightening grip on her children's hands, Hannah forced herself closer. "We're ready," she breathed, letting her defiance swell. "Whatever you hide, we will face it together." A luminous orb flickered at her fingertips, illuminating memories, all the joys and sorrows she buried deep. The shadows snapped toward her, furious, their lamenting cries rising to a crescendo. Ethan squeezed her hand. "It's scary, Mom. We have to trust our memories, our love," Hannah shouted, grounding her voice against the rising storm. Helping her children focus on their happiest moments, she whispered reminders of warmth, laughter, safe hugs. They focused on the days spent together, love wrapping around their fears like a fortress. And then, the darkness recoiled. "Remember who you are," Hannah echoed, echoing Evelyn's words. With that, she cast the memories out. Illuminated figures of her family surged forth, her mother's warm embrace, her brothers playing in the sun, shadows of laughter blending with the truth. With every step, every suppressed memory brought them closer together, building a shield of light against the encroaching dark. The shadows were driven back by the vibrant glow, and face by face, they faded, shrieking as the light pierced their anguished forms. Hannah stepped into the central darkness, standing her ground. "Leave us! You can't have any of us!" She seethed, and with an explosive burst of light, darkness began to peel away. "No! This isn't how it ends!" Collins bellowed, rage deepening his malice. His figure twisted, as if the shadows clawed at him from inside. But Hannah's heart surged with strength. "No! This is how it begins!" She pulled her children closer, light radiating from them, each burst igniting the air with new warmth. "Mom!" Lucy cried, squeezed tight against her. The walls erupted, a surge of power cascading over the cabin, throwing Collins backward. The shadows slithered into the depths of this battle, screaming their surrender, their desperation fueling their weakening grip. Just as the last whimpers echoed, Collins fell, his form dissipating into wisps of dark smoke, lost in the shadows of his making. Breathless, Hannah stepped back into her children's arms, holding them against her with tears of relief that no matter how dark the night may be, love had triumphed. They had faced the abyss together. "We did it, Mom!" Ethan exclaimed, eyes wide with innocence and awe. "Yes, my loves, we did," she whispered, bringing them closer, every heartbeat a promise. In the aftermath, the light seeped into the crevices of the cabin, revealing the elegance of its architecture, now reclaimed from torment. Evelyn's spirit appeared once more, eyes sparkling as though freed. "You've broken the curse." "Thank you." And then she faded, leaving behind an echo of calm, a whisper of peace. Together, Hannah and her children stepped outside, the dawn illuminating the horizon. The oppressive weight of the manor lifted, revealing a lightness that breathed possibility. They had wrested their destinies from the abyss. That place of pain no longer tethered them. Hannah took a deep breath, looking toward a bright new day filled with promises. "Let us go home," she said, holding Ethan's and Lucy's hands tightly. And as they walked away, darkness fluttered behind them, a haunting reminder of the fight but no longer holding sway. They had turned the page, rewriting their story into one of hope and light. Now, if you loved the thrilling conclusion of Hannah's terrifying journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss out on more exclusive stories just like this one. Smash the like button now to help feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What do you think will happen next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see the resolution to this chilling tale. You guys are the heart of this community. Your support matters. Hurry!